This week, we want to teach you how to make a classic Cantonese dish, braised pomelo skin. Now, if you're new to the dish, this whole concept of a braised pomelo skin is probably hitting you in one of two ways. First, if you're like a lot of people, you might have been unaware that you could braise a pomelo skin. Or barring that, for those of you in the West, I know some of you might just be scratching your head right now thinking, wait, what's a pomelo again? And on that front, as tempted as I am to turn this whole video into a treatise on citrus taxonomy, I'll save my gas for another day. The short story is that most of the citrus plants you know and love are actually hybrids between one of three ancestral citrus plants: mandarins, citrons, and, of course, pomelos. What you know of as oranges are actually a cross between pomelos and mandarins, and grapefruit's a backcross between oranges and pomelos. So if you've never had one, you could maybe think of a pomelo as sort of like a sweeter grapefruit, or maybe an orange minus the mandarin. And in addition to being a nice fruit, pomelos have also got this super thick pith to them, which these days is usually just tossed in the rubbish bin. But back in the day, people here would use their pomelos nose to tail, and with a bit of technique, they would turn that super thick pith into a real showstopper of a dish. So, as befitting an old school Cantonese dish, today we've got an old school Cantonese guest cook to take us through all this, Steph's dad, Dawei.
咁啊，沙田柚咧就係一種水果嚟嘅。咁啊，呢種水果除咗食入邊嘅果肉，呢個果皮咧仲有好多種食法嘅。有做糖漬嘅，即係糖柚皮啦。咁然之後咧攞嚟做菜嘅咧，蝦子炆柚皮啦，蠔油炆柚皮啦，仲有咧就有啲用包汁炆柚皮啦。咁啊，有好多種，仲有一種用豉油黃嚟炆柚皮。咁我而家就喐手整呢個蝦子炆柚皮，同時咧我就係用鯪魚骨滾湯嚟炆佢嘅，咁就係有一種鯪魚嘅鮮味喺裏邊嘅。
So first up, let's slice up that pomelo. To do so, make 2 incisions at the very top of the pomelo in a crisscross pattern. Then follow those cuts straight down and stop about 2 inches from the bottom. Then with your fingers, peel that skin and pith right off. You can eat or do whatever you want with the fruit. This is the part we'll need for the dish. So next up, grilling the skin. See, like a lot of citrus, the actual skin of the pomelo can get quite bitter. Some people solve this by simply peeling it off, but if you go that route, you end up losing pretty much all of its citrusy flavor. Grilling retains that flavor, but you need to get that yellow skin completely charred black with no color remaining. Something like this is perfect. After that, immediately dunk it into cool water and scrape those charred bits right off. You really don't want to dilly-dally here though, because if you wait too long, that burnt flavor can get into the pomelo itself. So just work through each piece of pomelo skin, changing the water after each one, and transfer them all over to a clean bowl of water. Now next up, soaking and squeezing. See, pomelo pith is basically like a sponge. We want to repeatedly saturate it, squeeze out the water, change the water, and toss it all right back in. This process gets the bitterness out of the pith, but it does take a while. You'll need to repeat this process about 8 or 9 times, or until your water looks completely clear and is no longer slimy. Now transfer your now repeatedly squeezed pomelo skin over to a chopping board, trim off the very end of it, and slice out that hard bit on the pith side. Now just cut each piece into thirds, toss them all back in a bowl of water, and squeeze each piece one more time. After that, just toss your pomelo skins into a pot of bubbling water to give them a blanch. Cover it all up, and we'll let that go for about 5 minutes. Then transfer over to some cold water, and after a quick swap of the water to make sure you don't burn your mitts off, gently squeeze those one last time. And with that, our pomelo skins are finally prepped. Now, we'll be braising those guys in soup. And on that front, you've got some options. Here, Dawei went with fish bones. These were just the bones and heads of 4 mud carps, or about 1/4 kilo worth, first fried in about a tablespoon of lard. But you can really use any kind of fish bones you want here, and if you're not in the habit of filleting at home, Dawei also said that shrimp shells were another classic choice. Then once your fish bones are just starting to brown, about 90 seconds or so, hit that with 1 liter of cool water. Bring that all up to a rapid boil and let it go for about 5 minutes, then remove your fish, strain, and reserve. Same wok now. Go in with a clove of minced garlic and fry that in about a tablespoon of lard. Now, astute observers might notice that this garlic here did end up getting totally scorched. We know. Dawei was working on an unfamiliar wok and unfamiliar stove. I think we've all been there. Not a big deal, we'll just fish them out later. For now, just hit it with the mandatory tablespoon of liaojiu, aka Shaoxing wine, and after a super brief mix, go back in with your fish soup. Toss in a half teaspoon of salt and sugar to give the braise a sort of base flavor, then add in your prepped pomelo skins. Bring that all up to a boil, and we'll be boiling that covered till a chopstick can poke right through it, or about 5 minutes more. 5 minutes later now, season your braise with a 1/4 teaspoon of white pepper powder and, hard to source ingredient of the day, a half tablespoon of dried shrimp roe. You're 100% not going to be able to find that dried roe though, so just swap that for some dried shrimp powder, which we'll cover how to make down in the description. And then at this point, just hit it with another tablespoon of lard for good measure, and thicken it with a slurry of a teaspoon of cornstarch, together with a teaspoon of dark soy sauce and 2 tablespoons of water. Let it all bubble and thicken for roughly another 30 seconds or so, and out. Make sure you get every last drop of sauce, and sprinkle over some sliced scallions. Braised pomelo skin, done.
咁咧，人哋咧整柚皮咧，就往往就將個柚青批咗佢，咁然之後就再嚟炆嘅。咁我嘅做法咧，我就唔係批咗嗰啲柚青，而係用火燒咗、淡咗啲柚青，然之後再浸水刮咗啲柚青，咁然之後再揸水浸好多次，揸好多次水，再出一出水添，咁樣做，咁樣嚟炆。點解我要用火嚟淡啲柚皮咧？呢個係我家族祖傳落嚟嘅一種做法嘅，咁咧就香好多嘅呢種做法啊！咁而家就做好咗，試試先。好味道啊！好味道啊！